Oh, someone just came in. It's connecting. Give it a second. Oh, someone just came in. All right. Let us begin.
Alrighty.
All right. Infernal greetings, infernal blessings to all. Welcome to another Tunnels of Set class live YouTube video for those who are joining us this evening. This evening, we'll be going over the Tunnel of Parfaxitas.
Oh, you did better than I did.
Parfaxitas. That's how I will say it. That's how I'm going to take a chance on saying it. So that's what we'll be discussing this evening. All right. So before I do that, let me just go over some announcements. I do announcements at the beginning or at the end. First of all, I'd like to thank all those who joined us on the new page, Temple of the Black Serpent. I feel the page is a lot better. It's more condensed, more concise, and we're able to get into, there's only like four classes there, 4 or 5 classes, so we're able to get right into it and do the work at hand. I feel the last page started getting too spread out and therefore overwhelming. So I thank everybody who joined the Tunnels of Set class, the Deific Mass class, the Vampiric class, which that's tomorrow. And that's going to be a doozy because the name of that one is the desiccation of the vampire, not defecation like caca, but desiccation, which is something else. So please don't confuse the two. All right. That class will be tomorrow. And all the old videos in the old Patreon page, most of them have been transferred to the classes now. So if you need to go back, reference back the homework, most of that stuff's already on those classes. All right. So don't worry about that. The series of 6 classes. That is still gonna happen. I just only had like one person sign up and they decided to join us on the Patreon page. But the series of 6 classes, basically it's a subject like vampirism. Then we break it down into 6 different classes discussing 6 different areas of vampirism. That's $56 per class. Someone else hit me up, wanting to know if we're still doing it. Yes, if people show interest, we'll do it. If not, keep moving. All right. Now, let me say this. The tunnels, no joke. Each time you do work within the tunnels, someone asked this last time, are you just going through and doing all the tunnels and in the major cliffa one time through, or you're repeating it constantly? That depends on the individual. Whatever you need for your personal development is the route you need to take. I can't really answer that for people. They have to know best what they need. I can suggest something, Demetrius could suggest something, and anybody else could suggest something, but you have to really learn yourself to know yourself enough to be able to determine if you need to keep repeating each tunnel over and over, or just run straight through each tunnel and the major cliff and you're done.
And real quick on that, I am going to suggest something. Yes, repeat it. Because you're always going to get something new. There's always going to be some different depth. I mean, you're looking over my notes from this particular tunnel. I did that twice. So yeah, that would be my advice to if you do it, initiating into the tunnel or a cliff or whatever it is, okay, yeah, that's your first time through, but then your second time, go through that and have a different experience. From a tradition I was initiated into, we would go into these different portals, like Titanic portals. Your first time through, that was you having to get to where you're supposed to go, not talk to nobody you see in there, because people have all these visions and they want to talk to shit.
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't have your best interest in mind on the other side, so don't talk to anybody till you get to where you're going. And then the second time you go through, now you can go connect to whomever or whatever and do whatever work is at play. So yeah, I would suggest maybe going through more than once. But
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it burn through there one time, that's fine. But you're not gonna get as much.
Right. And that I was about to say that I don't know how people could do it one time, really honestly. I mean, whatever you feel, some people feel they just did it one time over. Personally, I don't see how that's possible. Not how effed up we are as a people, one, as a society, two, and so on and so forth. Most of us should be repeating this work over and over and over. It doesn't matter how long, and I've said this before in various videos. It doesn't matter if you've been here 30 minutes or 30 years on the left-hand path. What matters is how sincere and how true you are to your spiritual growth and development. That's all that matters. Other people's experiences can help give you guidance, but ultimately it's about you gaining your experiences, gaining your gnosis. And no one can give you that than you going through the process. And that takes time, especially if you're an older individual in this society. We have a lot of garbage that we're still holding on to. And I don't care how much spiritual work you've done, how much, clifothic work you've done, we still have a lot of caca we hold on to. And if you don't realize, and I need to really deal with certain aspects of myself, you'll forever keep neglecting that and keep living a life of an illusion. What the illusion is that which you believe you don't need help. We all need help. Bottom line, we all need help. Okay, so let's get right into this. The tunnel of Parfaxitas. Yeah, have fun, everybody. Enjoy pronouncing these names. Okay. Okay, that's the bottom line. Enjoy. Now, tunnel of Parfaxitas is associated with the animal aspects of the owl and the wolf. The owl being wise, the wolf being ferocious. Both are necessary in your growth and development. Both are necessary as you go through each tunnel. Both are necessary when you encounter certain things that may pose a blockage or obstacle in your journey. I can tell you this tunnel particularly, you deal with a lot of animalistic aspects of yourself, beast-like aspects, all right? So just be aware of that, because if you're not ready to meet the beast within, then the beast within can eventually devour you that's without. What do I mean by that? I mean, the beast has been suppressed so long in this world, in this society, and by our own choosing, that when it has a moment to one moment to seep out of us, it can wreak havoc in our lives, only because you've never learned how to work with it, integrate it, and therefore love it and use it as necessary. You cage it up. So understand, anything you cage is going to want freedom. You can condition a lion into a cage for so long that eventually, if you leave the cage door open, it might not get out. But that sense of that freedom, that beast-like nature to want to be itself, will eventually overcome even that door being open and will cause the beast to come out. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a dog. My dog, I don't close the cage, the door on the cage for him anymore. And if I tell him to stay, for the most part, he will stay. But guess what? That beast inside of him is so nosy sometimes that no matter if I tell him 10 times stay in that cage, eventually he's going to try to sneak out because he feels like he's being controlled. There's no sense of freedom there. That's kind of what humanity faces, right? When you suppress the beast, when you hold that beast aspect in. The tunnels that this connects with is Samael and Arab Zarat. Okay. Mm-hmm. Those tunnels, for those who've done the major cliff eye, right? Those are some serious tunnels. Okay. Yep. First of all, people get it twisted with Samael. They think Samael is just like some friendly guy. Wrong. Samael is related to or has an aspect of Shaitan. Mm-hmm. And those who were in the Black Path class, some of those teachings are going to be done in the Vampiric Magic class again. But anyways, the Black Path class, we go over Shaitan. And one thing you understand about Shaitan is a devourer, a predator and devourer. That is the very aspect of Shaitan, Satanas, Samael, and the various different masks that this energy, has. So to think that Samael is just this friendly guy and that's it, nothing's gonna happen, and I'm gonna work with Samael, and Samael's Lilith's husband, so Samael must be freaky like Lilith. You got the shit twisted. Samael will quickly devour you and destroy you if you play around with your own self. The problem is with this work is people tend to, two things I've noticed. They tend to start to want to glorify the demons or the dark gods and goddesses on this path, therefore misunderstanding the purpose of the Klippa. Or they get the big head and they think they don't need to go through these tunnels or Klippa, that they can skip one here and go there. You're mistaken. Each tunnel. Go ahead, brother.
But and really, especially in this particular part of the neighborhood, that ego issue and all that stuff could be indicative of getting fucked up by Samael. Because you're dealing with poisons. They call him the poisoner of God or the poisoner of those of God.
Right.
But that applies to so much. There's some really whacked magic that can come out of this. Yeah. I mean, it's some twisted stuff, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've done some fucked up shit out of there. So it would be it would behoove one to be open to the current, to be more open. I mean, when all that ego and stuff starts to come up, like, okay, check yourself on that. And this tunnel is what I found interesting because I spoke about it before, that when I go through certain workings, I won't read any further information, just little snippets here and there so I can have a pure experience. Mm-hmm. Preparing for this tonight, going over my notes again and looking at some writings of other folks, I'm like, damn, I thought I was just out on a limb on this one, but no. It's pretty wild, and yes, there's some a lot of atavistic, animalistic energies there. And you were talking about keeping the beast caged up. Me personally, I think with a lot of the insanity going on right now, and in the past with serial killers, I think that is indicative of that. To where you have somebody that might be more negatively polarized, more leaning towards this path, raised in like a Christian household. They have no outlet, and they got all this shit going on inside them. They don't know what's happening. And eventually, what happens to a pot that you keep on the stove? It boils over. They're going to express that in one way or another.
That's correct, brother. Anything you resist will persist, and eventually it will try to find its way out. That is, my friends, the real truth about resistance. Things within ourselves that we resist will find a way to seep out. Are we ready for that? All right. A planet that is associated with Mars. That's one of the planets. Now, Mars, that's a warrior aspect. Keep that in mind. That's a warrior aspect that is within us. Therefore, you understand why it's associated with the wolf and the owl. Okay? The elements are water and earth. Water first, earth secondary. And there's diseases associated with each tunnel, and I failed to mention that in the last other tunnels, but these are associated with fevers, inflammations, and wounds. A lot of fevers going on and around right now, but we're not going to discuss that because last time I discussed anything pertaining to anything medical, they gave me a strike on my page. So we're not going to do that tonight. Yeah, we ain't going to do that tonight. Not tonight.
Oh, Lord.
Now, you got to understand, there's a hidden power behind this tunnel. And if you can't, if you're not adult enough to deal with this aspect, well, you're on the wrong page, right?
Yep.
Their aspect that I'll just say this: there's a very autoerotic nature to this tunnel. Masturbation. Ooh, yeah. Some of you real spooky right-handers and new agers. This might offend you because you've been taught to retain sperm retention. See, there's a problem with sperm retention, but all I will say is this. I'm not going to go with the problem is, but I will say this. On the left-hand path, there's various aspects. There is sperm retention to a point, not anything extreme like some of you fools that are super new age or fluffy or conscious try to run off at the mouth at. There's a reason why there's only to a point. Let's just say this: if you don't release something after a while, it can hurt you more than help you. Okay, just understand that if you hold on to something for far too long, it can hurt you more than help you. Fevers are an example. Your body sweats, you feel all these things because your body's trying to release the toxins inside of it, right? Well, in this case, if you're charging up your sperm, you're charging it up, and you're circulating it, eventually the circulation is going to backfire because you're not releasing it out, which was the intention of a sperm after it's built up energies to eventually release it out. So in this, this aspect, there's a hidden power that comes from masturbation. There is a hidden power that comes from masturbation. There is certain techniques. We're going to teach that in the Tunnels of Set class in the Patreon page. So there is going to be techniques taught as we get to this tunnel on that page on the Patreon memberships. The reason why is because you got to learn how to develop that power, but you then got to learn how to release it in the most effective way. And there is ways to do all that. All right. Mm-hmm. But don't get offended or upset, my new agers and conscious people out there. Oh my God, Ravana spoke against sperm retention. Shut up, please. Okay. I really don't care what any of y'all think or say or teach or whatever. It's all cock out of me. But anyways, so let's keep it moving. Parfaxitas is a black lunar archdemon, and in the astral realm, associated with the astral thunderstorms. Oh, you thought that astral realm was all spooky and smoke? You've been watching Insidious too much, man. Okay, that's not.
Oh, yes. You can get fucked up on the astral plane. I've had to tell people that.
Yeah.
The folks who did astral projection said, "Oh, I had this experience." I'm like, yeah, because it's just the next realm over, the other side, Citra Aura. The other side is just right over there. You got drug deals and hoes here in the real world. You got drug deals and hoes in the astral plane.
Well, exactly. People think that here's another problem that I have with the conscious community. They spookify and religiousize everything. I know I'm making up words, and I don't care because I could do that. But that's what they tend to do. And what I mean by that is they took the astral realm and they made it some spooky, supreme, sublime, beautiful area of existence. Where the hell did you get that concept? Oh, maybe you seeped in some religious heaven concepts into there. That's not the astral plane, man. The astral plane is very parallel to this existence, is just on the other side. And therefore you have all kinds of treachery, debauchery to beautiful things as well. So don't go thinking that, oh, I'm gonna travel to the astral and I'm gonna see some beautiful people. My ancestors are gonna come running up to me and they're gonna hug me and they're gonna be wearing purple robes and they're gonna give me a purple robe and initiate me into the ancestral realm. Where the hell did y'all hear that from and get that from? I have no idea, but that's not usually how it works. Unfortunately, a lot of us get stuck in this genetic memory. And what is this genetic memory? Essentially, your cells, every part of your cells has memory. So if your cells are from a certain lineage, that memory of what the cells experienced 500 years ago, 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago is still within you. And therefore, it is passed into your DNA and becomes a part of the junk DNA that you never tap into. And there is a lot of the secrets and knowledge that we try to find and encounter. Well, that's what the Qliphoth and the tunnels of Set are designed to do, to help us unlock these mysteries that are really inside of us. These tunnels are inside of us just as much as they are in an astral plane. So what happens is some of us get caught up in the genetic memory. Okay, it triggers inside of us because that pain is still there from generation upon generation. That's not the problem. We all going to experience that, especially, let's say our ancestors were African and experienced slavery, or they were Jewish and experienced the Holocaust. You're going to experience that pain as well. The problem is, how do you overcome it? And the Qliphoth and the tunnel is designed for that exactly, to actually overcome these traumas that are inside of us. Your traumas are not just your childhood traumas. There's traumas inside of us from our ancestors and so on and so forth. And there, when you travel into those realms, your ancestors are not going to glorify you and come up and give you a purple robe and say you've made it. A lot of them are pissed off, and do not be surprised if they cuss you the hell out and say, some of us are really like weak in this existence, and some of them are mad at us, literally mad at us. So when African traditional religions try to glorify the ancestral realm and make it seem like the ancestors all love you, they're feeding you a lie, because that's how they reel you in. In all honesty, when you get in deeper into this Qliphoth and the tunnels, your ancestors do show up, okay? But a lot of times, don't be surprised if they pissed off and punch you or something else. I just want to make mention of that, because a lot of times we paint this picture of the astral realm as being some glorified, beautiful, heaven-like existence. No. And it's not like Insidious with all this fog and smoke either. Just no. Okay? There's parts of the astral realm you'll think you're still here in the physical realm. And then there's part of the astral, you'd be like, oh shit, what the hell is this? This is really messed up, right? So anyways, let's continue. So Parfaxitas is attributed to the element of water and presides over a Qliphothic pathway that's inhabited. Here's the key word, inhabited. Each tunnel, my friends, is inhabited by certain type of entities. Some entities you may have never seen in this realm of existence called the physical. There might not even be depictions of them in this physical, but you will see entities in certain tunnels that you're going to be like, what the hell was that? Okay, this particular tunnel, a lot of wolves, lichen energy is strong in this tunnel. Werewolves, all right, furries, things like that. You're going to see these things in this tunnel. So just prepare yourself for that.
And also, according to Kenneth Grant, you'll also see some things that are like a mixture of some of those. They're not fully formed.
Right.
And there are some really, odd looking things in some of these tunnels. But yeah, this one's going to be very animalistic, but it's going to be like weird animals. Like you might see, you know, deer with 5 pairs of antlers or something like that. Something crazy or something off about everything that you see there.
Yeah.
This is also connected with this tunnel too, with like menstruation or something too. Reading Night Side of Eden.
Yep. That's true too. You also will see lions, snakes, goats, or a mixture of all three. Like Brother Demetrius said, you're gonna see shit you like, what the hell is that? They're a combination of all three. Now, try to wrap your mind around how a lion, a snake, and a goat all interbred would look like. Yeah, go figure, man. Not a pretty sight. Anyways, how does Parfaxitas? Well, hold on. Before that, well, as I said earlier, the Klepothic realm of Samael, which Samael is associated with Adramelech, okay, Adramelech, and Arab Zarak, which is associated with Baal. All right. The poisonous one and the warrior. Baal is a very strong warrior, very strong soldier. Okay. So now, mind you, you're when you go through this tunnel, there's aspects of both of those cliffa in that tunnel. There's a warrior aspect, there's the poison aspect. But as Demetrius was saying, don't assume that the poisonous is a negative thing, because you could be poisoned and it could be an elixir to wake up from your own illusions. It could be a poison to wake up from things you deny about yourself. It could be a poison that alters your state of consciousness, that opens your subconscious mind to reveal more of what you need.
And that was a part of my that was a part of my experience too. Like the second time I went through, being exposed to some type of astral poison, but that was like healing. I mean, the first time through, I was like protected from it because it was like the entire environment was noxious. But the second time through, they were like, "Yeah, here, inhale."
Yeah, that commonly will happen where eventually you do taste the poison, but a lot of your programming will either delay you being offered the poison, drinking the poison, or just shunning the poison altogether. Your programming has a lot to do with it. If you've been so, brainwashed to the point that you thinking that Samael and the poison offered is going to kill you, hurt you, then you're going to resist it. And one thing we learn on the left-hand path, help me out with this, bro. I mess up this word all the time. Antinomianism. I think I said it.
Yeah, yes. You got it.
Antinomianism is a very important aspect of the left-hand path. Why is it important? Antinomianism is essentially going against morality, society's morality, religious morality, and things of that nature. It's not so much rebelling, it's going against that current of morality, religious morality, and so on and so forth. It is moving away from that which has controlled you, right? It is considered kind of a rebellious state, but not really. When you understand it more, you understand that what is their names, bro? In India.
Oh, the Agori.
Yeah, the Agori. They're the perfect example of antinomianism. Perfect example.
Yes.
And to them, their philosophy is to do the taboo, to live the taboo, meaning that which is considered taboo in that society in India, they actually partake in. Because their philosophy is within the taboo, you experience the divine or the sacred. Now, here in the West, we might have troubles wrapping our minds around that, because taboo is so, taught to us to be so just wrong that you never partake in it. But the Agori do, and they understand that, and even in the things that seem so wrong are actually things that you can learn and benefit from, that allow you to receive the gnosis that you need, for your transformation. That is the key.
Yeah, because their point is to shatter those psycho-spiritual barriers, which would lead you to what we call apotheosis. They would call awakening or Advaita or oneness or whatever it is. They're trying to achieve, and people are scared to death of the Agori. They practice some. They're like the Poleros of Hinduism.
Yeah. Listen, they say that the Agori will. This is some of the softer things they do. They take the ashes of the recently cremated and rub it on their bodies.
Oh yeah.
They've also been known to partake in necrophilia.
Yep. And reanimate a corpse that way too.
Yeah. But I paused because I wanted people to jump out their seats, when they listen, they hear that, they're like, oh no, that is did it. See, their minds go into everything that is wrong with it. I'm not telling you to find anything that's right with it. What I'm telling you is understand they do it for a purpose other than just banging out a corpse.
Yeah, there's a Baba that's got a he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an Agori. And they'll show them doing the fire ceremonies, Hovans, on occasionally they'll be in Varanasi where the cremation ground is. And he's walking around. There's a picture of him, and sometimes you'll see him, they'll be sitting on top of a body in meditation, giving liberation to the individual.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, they haven't been shut down yet?
Nope. Because they're scared of them in India. They're deathly scared of them.
Yes.
So understand, as the magician, as the sorcerer, right? There's certain aspects of the forbidden, the taboo that is necessary for you to understand and learn about. Parfaxitas, in this, you will kind of experience some of those things. Like, for example, some of the things that Parfaxitas has power over, rules over in this tunnel is wrath. How many of you all have experienced wrath? If you haven't, you will start to understand it going through this tunnel. See, I've always alluded to this in many classes. Compassion. Most of us practice what's called fake compassion. Okay, that compassion is what we've been programmed by religion and cultural and things of that nature. Essentially helping an old lady across the street, that's supposed to show compassion for someone other than yourself, and it's the right thing to do. So this is what we've been taught. But I always pose this question. So what about if you help Granny, right, across the street with her groceries? You get into her crib, and Granny's a stone cold killer. Now she got you tied up, locked up, because you wanted to be compassionate. Don't think it cannot happen, because it can. Okay. Another thing. So that's one form of what we think compassion is. I'm just giving an extreme example of how sometimes compassion can go wrong, right? Like Chappelle used to say, that moment that goes wrong. Yeah, that's an example. It can go wrong. But understand, compassion is something we're taught that we should do, not something that we realize not everybody deserves your compassion. And that's the hardest part for people to understand. So if you've experienced wrath, rage, or things like that, you'll understand when somebody has reached to that point where they've lost all senses and their wrath and rage take over. You can best be compassionate and empathetic for them, because you as well have experienced it and understand how that can affect you on another level than most of us can. You understand? So when you understand wrath, you can be compassionate to others who reach the level of wrath consuming them, right? So Parfaxitas in this tunnel allows us to understand that. Not only does have wrath and it's displayed, it could possibly be experienced by you, you'll learn from it too. Wounds, like inflicted wounds, are also a part of this. Dark matter. Some of y'all who are super scientifical, right? Some of y'all who want to be super scientists, you'll start to experience what dark matter is, or is it?
Yep.
There's work here that will open you up to that reality. Okay. Vengeance. If you have any hidden form of vengeance that you haven't dealt with inside of you, it will surface. And don't say to me, oh, no, I've never wanted to get revenge on somebody. That vengeance is not for me. Yeah. You'll find out if you have it inside of you, because you may not realize you're holding a grudge all these years for something that happened to you when you was a teenager, and you want vengeance on that person, but you want to ignore it because you want some spiritual spooky path of, annihilation and not integration. But that's another story. Inflammation, peculiar shape-shifting, and atavism, which is the animalistic aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, yes, you could be in the tunnel and experience snow, rain, sleet, things like that. What? It rains and snows? And yes. What do you think that astral realm is? What do people really think it is, yo? Like, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chaos, destruction, and death. You'll experience all of those in this tunnel. You'll experience every form of death that there is. And don't think that it's just one form of death. There's multiple forms of death. Okay? To some, they say the two deaths. There's actually even more than two deaths, but that's...
Yeah, one of the concepts about that is that, again, getting nice and quantum physics like that, we all exist on different dimensional planes.
Right.
If one of those dimensional planes is more evolutionary than another, then the ones that are not doing anything get wiped out, because they're all going towards singularity. So if you're working this and, you'll have some kind of weird nightmare that you got killed, or that feeling of impending doom or death, and it just passes, yeah, that means that an aspect of you died somewhere.
Correct.
and you absorbed it. But I want to read something real quick from Enoch Petrocelli's book, The Black Witch, where he describes this particular tunnel of Parfaxitas.
Yes.
He says, the benefits of working in the tunnel of Parfaxitas are reducing one's feelings of fear in general, feelings of peace, the acknowledging of the differences between people and how to handle them, the creation of resounding chaos to purge what is unwanted, disturbing the will in order to make it stronger, and lastly, banishing that which is unwanted. Now, the concept of the feelings of peace, again, that goes with the purge. And, again, all of these tunnels, these cliffa, assist you in getting to know yourself in truth, not your label, not your title that you bought or anything like that, to get you to know yourself truthfully. So there's going to be the purge, and then sometimes the purge is not clean, it's not good, it's not pretty. You are purposely trying to create a dark night of the soul. That's what you're doing here. This is a path of destruction. So you're blowing shit up, to get to that point of where you have that clarity and that peace, so you can move forward and have a better life. But I just wanted to touch on some of those things that are benefits, because I know some people might be wondering, well, what's the point of all this if you're getting your teeth kicked in? Well, I mean, everybody is on the tree. It's in one form or another. Whether we're consciously aware of it or not, we're just working it more consciously. So we can, get through this evolution and development and growth on a faster level and get to where we're going more conscious, in a more conscious manner.
Correct, brother. For example, that's one of the aspects that people misunderstand about vampirism. They think vampirism is all about feeding. That's not. One of the aspects of vampirism is immortality. Not in the sense of immortality, your physical body being extended, but immortality as in your mind becomes immortal. Your energy translates this physical boundary. So therefore, an act of that sometimes is the act of death and destruction. When you experience that, you understand the limitations and the unlimited potential of the self. So in this Parfaxitas, one of the things that you will experience is a lot of aggression and lustfulness. You may ask, why aggression? Some of you are not aggressive enough. Some of you are too passive aggressive, right? You are passive aggressive to the point that people sometimes run over you, and only at that point that you get run over do you want to get aggressive. Whereas this was going to show you aggression in the sense of how you need it in your life so that people can stop running over you, mistreating you, abusing you, whatever the case may be. So in the tunnel of Parfaxitas, you're going to experience aggression. You're going to experience aggression from the, let's say, the entities you encounter here, the werewolves, right? The furries, things of that nature. These aggressions are to, as Demetrius said, make you face your fears. Because if you don't face your fears will always rule you. And this is a weakness that can be exploited by others. For those who understand the Sith concept, one of the Sith concept is show me your weakness so I may best know how to use it against you. Mm-hmm. So if you don't allow yourself to put down the walls and barriers and stop thinking you're so great and realize you do still have weaknesses, well, Parfaxitas is perfect for you to experience those parts of yourself, because when that aggression is unleashed towards you in this tunnel, you have to face it. If you have, okay, let's say there's a werewolf coming at you. Some people love werewolves. Some people are terrified of them, okay? And you're one of those who's terrified of it. Parfaxitas directs the like and energy to be aggressive towards you. Therefore, you have to face the fear of a werewolf or a wolf. And until you face that reality, you will forevermore have that fear rule you instead of you ruling that fear. Okay? So, not only that, but lustfulness is unleashed in this tunnel as well. Okay? You may say, well, I've already dealt with my sexuality. That's a goddamn lie too. Most people have only go to like a little bit beneath the surface layer of sexuality, even understand what sexuality is. I'm not talking about sexual identity, what gender you think you are, how you feel about what you are. I'm not talking about all these feelings over facts kind of conversation. I'm talking about the fact of things that you may have sexual hangups about. Things that you suppress because you fear judgment, others judging you if they find out about it. Those kind of things you will deal with on this tunnel.
Yeah, the thing also about this particular tunnel is that it is I'm trying to describe it. It's very strange because it's like it's rawly sexual, but in the background a little bit. And in reading this little piece here from Kenneth Morant, it's very indicative of the primal goddess of, the queen of heaven, but in her more primal, almost maiden form. But at the same time, this tunnel is also very masculine too, which is wild. This is another one of those that's kind of like, yeah, it's masculine, but it's also very feminine too, but feminine in the concept of divine innocence. It's almost like that feeling of Hades and Persephone almost. You know, that wasn't like, you know, that's a cute story, but at the end of the day, it was a rape. Her uncle stole her.
Yeah. Yep. And that right there is a perfect example of some of the things you will encounter. So each tunnel, as we've gone through and we discuss various aspects of it, we don't discuss all aspects because we would be here probably for 2-3 days still on this video talking about it. And I'm not one of those to do 5-hour videos, so I can't do it, man. That's just not my shit. I got a life, man. There's things I gotta do, man. So I like to talk, get to the point, take questions. We done good. But yeah, these tunnels, if we really went into it, take a long time. That's what the classes are for on Patreon. We talk all day and night about one tunnel for 20 classes if you want. But the point is, you have to literally experience these aspects of yourself, because these things that you encounter in the tunnels are not something that you're encountering because it's happenstance and you really have no idea why it's coming at you. It's coming at you because that's something you need to deal with. Some random shit that has nothing to do with you may not happen. Most of the time, these things that you need to deal with, like someone will deal more with lust in this tunnel and someone else may deal more with aggression. Depends where you are at inside yourself. So don't think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna go into this tunnel and I'm gonna just wild out, deal with my lust. It's not always the case, man. And what is most necessary really is what will be revealed to you when you will encounter on this tunnel or all the other tunnels. It's not just this one. Okay. For example, one of the things that Parfaxitas, one of the ultimate workings and goal is for you to deal with the truth. Truth. Now, truth can be, and it is subjective to each person. Okay. Your truth may not be my truth. Ultimately, it's your truth that you need to deal with that you may not want to accept yet about yourself. Like you're an asshole. You may think you're the sweetest person, but you're literally an asshole. Or you're a narcissist, but one of those narcissists that has totally destroyed everything around and has never learned how to use narcissistic traits for something that can benefit them. Other than that, they just self-implode and implode everybody around them. So if you haven't dealt with those shits, don't be surprised if them shits pop up. All right?
Yep.
The ultimate truth about yourself is necessary. That's always the goal on the left-hand path, the ultimate truth of self, right? So we utilize antinomianism to do it so we can attain apotheosis, self-deification. Antinomianism is not easy, as we discussed earlier, because you literally have to confront the levels of programming that you still adhere to. And you may think you broke them, but you still stuck. And therefore, that has been limiting your potential to reach your godhood, so to speak. Okay?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, prime example of that, I think, I don't know if I spoke on it on one of the live streams. I know I spoke to you about it. It was just something that just happened out of the blue. I mean, I've been doing my thing in the occult for over 30 years.
Yep.
And it was just this rage against, you know, the Christian God, because my family, a lot of them were involved in that. And my favorite great aunt was very much involved in that, and how, you know, her life unfolded and how she eventually died. And I'm just like, dude, you didn't even care about her. I mean, I just went off, sitting in my computer chair, flipping the fuck out, just pissed. I mean, my heart rate was, I was like, man, what the hell was that? But yeah, that's just another purge or movement, just kind of going into it and just dealing with it, handling it. So yeah, some of that shit will get pulled up on not only just in this tunnel, but all of them really. And it may not happen when you are doing the ritual work to open the tunnel itself. Because remember, the ritual is just to initiate it.
Yep.
That's it. It's not that you're going to do the ritual and you're done. No, that's just an activation.
Yes.
You may do a path working, you may do a meditation, you may do the full ritual, whatever it is, see the sights, feel the feels, close circle down, and be like, okay, next, yeah. The sun comes up and that shit activates, so you go to work. You might end up fired.
I'm happy you actually said that, because sometimes the misunderstanding of individuals, right, is that when they do a ritual, things will happen instantaneously. No, this is not Harry Potter. Okay? It's not Lord of the Rings, none of that shit. The key is what Demetrius just said. You actually just initiated the actual opening or walking into the tunnel process. It's not going to happen immediately. If it does, more kudos to you. You are so divine and great for that. But unfortunately, most of the time, it's a process. And the process can take time. I've had some people do some of these cliff and tunnels, and they don't get a hit or a lick of anything from that ritual till a year later. And then it dawns on them and they say, shit, I just remember I did that ritual and all this just happened, because your mind will trigger and associate it with that ritual because of what opened up in you or through you during that ritual. So be patient with yourself and do not be hard on yourself if something doesn't happen instantaneously. You're just beginning the process. That's all you're doing when you're doing the ritual. When it hits, it hits. You can't rush it. You have to be patient for that to happen. Okay? I know some of us want immediate results. It makes us feel wonderful and great, but who are you racing against? Yourself?
Exactly.
Because you're not racing against no one else. Stop racing against others as to who gets the result first or not. That's irrelevant. What's relevant is when you get it is when you're supposed to get it, because you're receiving a gnosis that only you need from it at that particular time. Okay? This is what makes me laugh when someone gets these freaking messages of inspiration or they get a channeling and all this. They think it's for the world. No, that's not true. Most of the time, that shit is just for you and you alone. Is your ego that big that you think that your channel is for everybody and that you have to share that message with the world like you're some kind of prophet? People, get over your narcissistic, egotistical nonsense and realize it's not all about you, people. Yeah. If it was, you'd be big balling and not be struggling the way you are, people. Get over yourselves. It's not wrong to realize this shit is not always about me. Yes, it is about you when you're doing the work and putting in the time, but the messages and what I'm getting from it is not always meant for the world to know. It's personal for you. This is why you will rarely hear myself, Demetrius, Benito, or others go deep into some process and some experience we receive from doing a ritual, because we know it's a personal thing. It's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. But people want to broadcast it because they want subscribers or they want people to give them a standing ovation and everything else. That's not why we do this. We do this so that you could become a fully realized human being. That's what you're doing it for. To reach apotheosis, to reach godhood for yourself. Not reaching apotheosis and you stand on top of a temple, right, and broadcast it. I've reached apotheosis. Trust me, some people would do that shit too, man. And I know exactly some people on YouTube who would do that shit, but I ain't gonna say no names. But some mother effers would do that. And you're looking up at them like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? So what? That's irrelevant to my life if you reach apotheosis. Really, it is. What's relevant is your life and what you're doing with it. So stop broadcasting to the world some experience you had because you want some kudos and some round of applause. And stop running every time chaos comes knocking on your door and your world falls apart. that means your world's falling apart because you is not hot shit as much as you think you are. So you're being basically torn back down to realize, cut that crap, deal with your shit, master your shit, and overcome this nonsense. Period.
Oh, just mention something that Tom Gray just put into the Zoom chat.
Mm-hmm.
Also, broadcasting experiences can attract nut jobs and space cadets that are looking for a messiah or leader type person. Yep, I've experienced that when I was in the OTO a lot. That's what they had plenty of.
Exactly. Screw that, man. Yo, honestly, if you okay, well, I'll go back to that, but let me say this as well. Besides the answer, getting the truth, something else that you will experience that Parfaxitas will open you to. Okay, it's not for everybody. It's for those who seek it. Mm-hmm. Mysteries of blood magic.
Yep.
And lycanthropy, werewolfism, which is associated a lot with the vampire current. Don't believe Hollywood and these novels and books and makes werewolves and vampires two different things and they're enemies. They're not. That's done for making sales and selling books and movie tickets. In actuality, the lycanthropy energy is very similar to the vampiric energy. And as a matter of fact, Dracula, one of the forms Dracula took when he shapeshifted was a werewolf. Okay? Yep. Was a wolf. So keep that in mind, people. Let's stop believing the caca and realize you got to do a little more research. But anyways, the mysteries of blood magic. Blood magic, I'm gonna be honest, it's not for everybody. You gotta have some strong fortitude with blood magic. Okay. First of all, using your blood. Some people get dizzy just seeing their blood, yo. Yep. It's not for you. You get dizzy seeing your own blood, cut it out. It's not for you. Don't even try to venture in there. I'm gonna be real with you. In the necromancy class that's on the Temple of the Black Serpent Patreon page, we're about to get into a lot of blood magic work. Necromancers are famous for using blood magic. There's a lot of power behind blood, okay, besides iron and all these metals that are in there. And if you know anything about alchemy and magic, those vital elements and minerals that are found inside the blood are essential for attracting or detracting things. That's why blood magic is so effective. For two, blood has a frequency and vibration through the chi, the prana, the second, whatever you want to call it, that is stored within it. That is also propelling the work using blood magic. Okay? And for three, when you work blood magic, you realize more and more how you're the real God. Yep. And all these gods and goddesses and demons, all things we call upon, makes us weaker. Just being real with you. All right?
Yeah, your blood can open and close doors.
Yep. Very much so. This is why in a lot of my rituals, I have this aspect where we utilize certain blood magic. Now, some of the people watching YouTube, they're probably going to get in a hissy fit. They might report me. Get a life, people. Okay? Anyways. Really, you shouldn't be watching this channel if you can't deal with adult conversations. So that is important. If you want to learn more, the necromancy class, we're going to get deep into that aspect. Lycanthropy, we do that in a vampiric magic class. There's a ritual of the vampire, ritual of the werewolf that was created. Let me just say this. Some people who did that ritual found themselves really experiencing werewolf current, werewolf energy, like really experiencing it. I'm not going to reveal their details because it's personal to them. I just know it hit. And when it hits, you'll feel it. Okay? So anyways, and your psychic perception will begin to expand. Okay? So always be aware of your psychic gifts. Everybody has psychic gifts. Okay? It's just how you cultivate it, nourish it, and enhance it through your practices. If you're not practicing and enhancing your psychic abilities every day, then don't expect that you're going to be powerful when it comes to your psychic abilities. You got to practice. That's just the bottom line. Okay.
And one of the things that about psychic development, the best places to practice is at work or on public transportation if you take it, or if you're out and about, or maybe just drive somewhere and say, all right, I'm gonna go to the mall, go someplace with a lot of people, and then start practicing some techniques like sending a message or labeling an individual, thinking of them as pretty or ugly or happy or sad, and seeing how that affects them.
Yep. All right. Also, lastly, we'll say this. Like I said, these topics can go on for hours. Don't have that time. So it can Parfaxitas will strengthen your mind, increase your aggression that is necessary, and teach you the power of dominance. Okay? Don't get beside yourself because you hear dominance. Now you have visions of being a dominatrix. Sister, sit down with that one. Some of y'all do not need to be a dominatrix. It's you're in a whole different ball game now. So just because you hear dominance, don't go getting beside yourself. Okay? That might be way out of your pay grade. So, anyways, whatever. The point is, also the recollection of your dreams becomes enhanced here. Some of y'all may have problems recollecting your dreams. This will help. This work in this tunnel will help. Okay? Like I said, tunnel of Parfaxitas. Right now, in the tunnel is set. We're only in the first tunnel, Fancy Facts app. Okay? So, y'all still want to get down and get with some of these rituals that Demetrius and myself are creating? Get with it. Okay? If you really want to experience what we're talking about, like really experience it, these rituals that are being created for the next few tunnels, nothing to play with. Serious business. Okay? And don't think that the rituals are directing you every step of the way. No, you're doing most of the work in these rituals. So anyway, that's another story for another day. But anyway, let me take questions. Let's see if anybody got questions in the Zoom room. Let me go to the Zoom room first. All right. Any questions in the Zoom room? Anybody raise their hand, want to ask a question? Once, twice, three. Well, I can't see you. If you have your hand raised, I can't. Your truck is dark, brother. All right, no questions. All right, cool. Let me go into the YouTube room, see anybody got a question.
There's one thing in the YouTube I wanted to address. Someone that said, "Is being super lustful a bad thing?" No, if you are in control of that. If you are out of control with it, where you're to the point of turning over tables and humping table legs, there's a problem. Being in that state, you have a lot, because a lot of us that walk this particular path have a lot of sexual energy, and just allowing that just to circulate, to do its thing, to move about, and just be grounded in it, and not allowing it to overtake you to where you're doing dumb shit. You can use that power for various things. You can use it to, well, if you're trying to get hired somewhere, you can put that into that, direct that energy, especially if the person interviewing you you're a female and they're a male, directing that energy to them. Or if it's another female that likes women, who knows? It doesn't really matter. Direct that energy. Also, lust. If you're trying to get motivated or to help yourself study or focus, you can apply that to that. Have a lust and a desire for your work before you, your goal, whatever it is. Use it, direct it. So that's the main thing. Like with lust, there's nothing wrong with that. But yes, some folks do have sexual hangups, and they're going to get dragged on a left-hand path, especially in the clip-off, because there's a lot of sex, and the first few spheres are all about that.
Yep.
Sexual energy, vampiric energy, and it's all feminine, hardcore feminine too. Yep. So just being grounded in such things and embracing them. Because sometimes a person may come into this super lustful, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go hook up after I do this ritual or whatever," and then once they get to working, find out that maybe it's not all about that, and will turn it around. And on the flip side, you may have somebody who's a prude.
Yep.
And they just been bottling the stuff up. The little nerdy girl in the corner is actually a freakazoid.
Yes. I like those. I like the freakazoids in the corner. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's usually the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. The ones who look innocent. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. So as Demetrius was saying, yes, I agree 100%. Lust can be utilized for your benefit. Doesn't have to be destructive. But as Demetrius alluded to, your hangups sometimes determine how much lust can be used for you or against you. Not dealing with those hangups, lust can be chaotic because you're unleashing something that you've been holding back. And now that you're getting more sense of freedom because your mind and your journey in this path is opening you up to dealing with things, that lust is now unleashed. This is why much of the work has to have a level of discipline. There's a lot of people that are conscious, that are cult, that this, and they have no discipline whatsoever. None. And you could tell in their life that they have no discipline. They're sickly, right? You can see them, they're sickly, they're just messed up. Their life is in disarray, but they know all these things. They have so much profound knowledge. They know all the freaking rituals. They know every spell and how to do this spell and that spell, but their life sucks. Why? Because they ain't dealt with themselves. They just want to have knowledge and they want to seem like they're so profound because they know how to do these spells. But Demetrius could attest to this. When I was in ATRs, African traditional religions, man, listen, some of these santeros, santeras, babalaos did not match what they portrayed.
No, a lot of them are trifling.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to be real. Trifling.
Yeah. Okay. And that happens sometimes. And it doesn't matter if it's ATR, it could be some other shit. I'm just saying what my personal experience was in there. I saw the contradictory things. Okay. Some of these santeros and santeras will tell you, oh, no, don't get with this person, don't have, intercourse or do certain things, and they're the ones doing this shit. And then the santeras hitting on you like, yo, what's up? I'm married. Yo, what's good? I got a girl. Or if you'll do, or vice versa, whatever, she's hitting on you, right? Or he's hitting on you, and you like, but you telling me all this, that the Orisha is saying this and the spirit is saying this, but you're doing that for your benefit. No, that's people who have not dealt. They're so spiritual, but they haven't dealt with their true selves. Okay, and part of your true self is your sexual side. Every time that you gain gnosis, knowledge, and wisdom, you will have an alternate effect at the same time. And this is what people don't like to talk about commonly in the conscious community or spiritual crap, okay? The more gnosis you receive, the more knowledge and wisdom you receive, is just as horny as you're going to become. The two work hand in hand. They don't understand that, though. They don't understand it.
That goes right with the question somebody had in the YouTube. Because what you're saying is very true, because you see it on a base level, just on a base level outside the occult. We'll see it in the church, especially the black church.
There you go. The pastor is banging Sister Mary, Sister Jaquita, and so on and so forth. But he up there sweating it up, calling on God, right? It's a problem. But people don't understand why this is happening. Is your Kundalini is rising. Your Kundalini is sitting. It's home where it rests is in your sexual area, rising up. Okay? First three chakras are very sexual in nature. and you think you're gonna bypass that and just be holy and roly. No, you're not. They come hand in hand. Those energies are intertwined. Spiritual energy is the same as that sexual energy. We just been taught to chop everything up, and therefore, when we dissect it and put in these neat compartments, we become more messed up than realizing I have to integrate every aspect. So, sis, that lustful question, if you have that energy, learn to use it, to cultivate it, to nourish it, and unleash it on those that you select to be worthy of it. That's the only thing I would ever say is be selective in your journey who you unleash that at, because every knucklehead, whether they're male or female, whatever you like is what you like. They not worthy of it. Not every knucklehead is worthy of that. Okay. Yep. That's the only thing I would tell people as you work through this journey and your sexual energy starts to really come out, be selective. I know sometimes some of this work hits so hard that you start scratching the walls and you meowing and howling at the moon and everything. But don't get weak and give it to some numb nut, because you just gotta feel it. It's not worth it, man. You got to learn how to be disciplined. A key factor, like I'm going back to the key factor on this path, left-hand path, is discipline. And from my personal experience, I don't care if it's left-hand path, right-hand path, whatever path, people lack discipline in spirituality. They do. A lot of people, more people lack spirituality than have it. I mean, lack discipline than have it. You need your discipline specifically on this path more than any other path that I encountered. You need it more on this path than any other path, because the shit you're dealing with, the shit you're unleashing, if you don't have that discipline, you will become really tempted to do some really crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, you can get beat down.
Yeah.
It's like, I occasionally go through this where I, complete some like major work or whatever, and I'm kind of out of commission for a bit. Then when I'm trying to get back in, I got to like fight my way back in. I got to war my way back in. It's crazy.
All right, so let me say this right here. Okay, let me see the last some of these questions. Hold on, let me go back up because I know I'm missing some shit here. Damn, what I missed? Mega Michael, what up, brother? Just got more of what energy. Okay. Jayla Dainty, she says, damn, the spirits make us weaker. Well, see, here's the thing. I gotta break this down real quick. It's because it gnaws at me sometimes. There's a difference between spirits and gods. Okay. And demons and so on and so forth. There's a huge difference. When you work necromancy, you start to really understand that. Spirits, okay, are those that were in flesh and blood, just like you and me, who have deceased and translated. Okay, their physical body has basically dissolved and gone back to the earth, and their energy and spiritual body, whatever you want to call it, and their consciousness is retained. That's a spirit. Spirits, when you are working with spirits, spirits can benefit you, but there is some that can hurt you. And what I mean by that, not to scare anybody, is that some spirits have ulterior motives for working with you. Okay? So you always have to be aware of that. You have to understand that when you work with spirits, there's one commandment that all necromancers stand by. You are the God and the master. So therefore, you are the God and the master over a spirit. A spirit should never weaken you. If it does, means we're not doing something right. If anything, you should be devouring the spirit and consuming that energy for yourself, therefore becoming stronger. So I'm gonna just leave that at that. All right. Yeah, I think we got some spirits jumping around us today, brother. Anyways, yeah, that's what Jorge said. So I ain't gonna disagree. He might see that shit. You know what I'm saying? So Chaco Leary Brown, does Kundalini have anything to do with being horny? Yes, it kind of answered that. It has
Yes, that's
everything
what I
to
was
do
saying.
with
That was
being
the one I
horny.
was talking about. Yeah.
Yes, everything to do with being horny. Your, like I said earlier, your Kundalini sits in your root chakra, right? The next chakra is the sacral chakra. That's where a lot of that sexual energy is retained. And as it rises, it unleashes all that sexual energy. So don't believe these gurus who are sitting there in India, doing mantras all day, acting like they're celibate.
There's a lot of fucking going on. I'm sorry.
Yes. They getting down now.
Bet to believe it.
Yep, they're getting down in their own little way. They ain't doing it in front of the camera. All right, maybe they are. Maybe they're doing Indian porn. I don't know. But the point is, yes, it has a lot to do with it. This is why when your Kundalini rises, you will feel a jolt, not a tap, not a tickle, a jolt of sexual energy punch you right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not going to just subtly tap you. It's going to go boom, and then you're going to say, what the hell just hit me? Why am I extremely horny right now? That's because that energy just opened up. As the Kundalini rises, it's opening up. And you're having to learn how to channel and deal with that. Okay?
Yeah, because like you said, it starts to open up. It's like a beacon. Because I remember when I first started on my spiritual journey, like right at or near puberty, I walk into a room and everybody's drawers catch on fire.
Yep. That's correct, brother. All right. So who else? Who else we got? All right, Rayshawn Justice says, what is symbolic meaning of flies around you? About every day, especially in my car, whatever area I'm in, one or two flies. That is associated with Beelzebub.
Yep.
Known as the Lord of the Flies, a demon who works with a very powerful energy. Look into that, Rayshawn. I will tell you, look into Beelzebub. Okay. No, not the Beelzebub of the movie Lord of the Flies. Please do not. No, that's some whack shit. But read into that and look further into that, because when certain atavistic entities show themselves over and over in our life, is because there's some meaning symbolically that you have to associate and discover for yourself. Okay. What is the fly? What is the nature of the fly? The fly is always flying around doing its work. It's doing its work. It's constantly working. Just like bees, they're constantly working. Okay. So there's something that is trying to signify in your life, there's an area you need to be working in. And Beelzebub is associated with that area. So do research into that and you'll get more answers on that.
Yeah, that's an extremely powerful demon too.
Yes. Okay, yes, and Jayla Dainty, yes, a lot of sexual gurus be in sexual scandals because they don't always practice what they preach. So it backfires. And it shows up and then boom. All right, Ethereal Vixen says, I'm new to the left-hand path and I'm all in. I'm 33 years old and finally feel free. Hey, there's symbolism in you being 33 years old too. 33 is a really symbolic number of rebirth. 3 times 3 equals 9. That's a number of rebirth. This is your rebirth, Ethereal Vixen.
Yep.
So look further into it. Check out my Patreon page, Beniti's Patreon page, DH Thorne's Patreon page, SNF Mason, so on and so forth. Check it all out and keep working it. All right. Okay. All right. So that's about it. No more questions.
There actually is one question in the Zoom chat.
All right.
That is Tonk Ray, and it's like, how should people look at gods, demons, and spirits that they are working with? For example, should they look at them as a friend, a teacher, an older brother, or a sister?
Good question. And I would say that depends on the actual archetype you're working with.
Yes.
Okay? They can be a friend to you. They can be brotherly to you, sisterly. But more so, they will be what you need them to be for you to reach the maximum potential of yourself. So if they have to be rough and tough on you, they will be that too. They have to be an asshole behind you, they will do that too. Okay? So keep that in mind, because when you work with these different archetypes or gods, goddesses, demons, so on and so forth, each one has a characteristic, an attribute, a power, an energy, a personality that usually is associated with you, not because we're great, divine, and holy, but because we're deficient in a certain area that they can best help bring out of us. That's really why they come to you. They don't come to you because you're the next Lilith or the next Samael. They're coming to you because you whack and missing something. And therefore they're trying to be like, yo, you need to work over here, but you're working over here. So let's get this together and work it out. That's so essentially look at them as your assistant. They're assisting you on your journey, trying to point you in the right direction. Okay. All right. So Maiden Liberty, this is the last question of the night, y'all. What is the meaning behind 333? Demetrius, take that one away.
Well, you can apply that to just about anything. I think Ravana just did something on some numerology. I mean, you've got Maiden, Mother, and Crone. If you wanted to go on the goddess side of the fence, that number can be applied to anything. So I don't really do the whole angel number thing that folks do.
Either.
So you could take the 3 and look at the Cliffotic tree and go to the 3rd sphere. Yeah. And look at that. What does that represent? Or you can add those numbers together, and that'll break down to the number 9.
Exactly.
Which to me is always indicative of Hecate.
Yep.
You know. So I know some folks are more into numerology. I am not. I mean, I have my aspects that I do that with. If certain things pop up, especially after ritual work, yes, I will take a peek at that number, be like, okay, there must be some kind of significance. But as far as like, you know, the whole angel number thing, oh, I got to see what the angels are trying to tell me. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't deal with gematria, numerology. That's a personal choice. That's all I can say. It's a personal choice. If you choose to deal with numbers, it's all good. But just know numbers are just symbolic and associated with something with yourself. That's it.
Yeah, it's usually in the moment.
Yep. Yeah, because those numbers could change over time. Okay. All right, people. So I appreciate y'all for coming out tonight. Once again, we will be back in 2 weeks with the next tunnel. We got a little thrown off last week because we started a new page. We had to get everything in order, but now we're all set. So we'll be back in effect in 2 weeks. All right, with the next tunnel. Like I said, if you want to get further work, please get into the tunnel set. You're not gonna regret it. It's going to work. It's going to benefit you. Okay. That's on the Patreon page, which you'll see the link on the description. All right. So my peoples, I appreciate y'all for coming out. Infernal blessings to all. Y'all have a beautiful, wonderful, dark, sexual, lovely, playing hopscotch kind of night if you choose to. If not, take your ass to bed.